Hello, everybody. I managed to tell you good morning because it's not even noon Eastern time where I'm at. Happy Friday. TGIF, we made it. Today, we're going to discuss, of course, national and global news. My name is Olga, known as OnestPress across the socials. Welcome back. If you're joining us for the very first time, or perhaps you haven't even subscribed yet, I really encourage you to subscribe and tap like, because then this video will be recommended by the algorithm to other people interested in actual news. So today we're going to take about 45 minutes of your time to discuss everything that did happen already in the news, but also what will be happening today as well. So first things first, Trump is calling for a new census, and this is very much unconstitutional. First, Trump is announcing, or has announced, that he has ordered the Commerce Department to begin work on a new and highly accurate census using modern day facts and results of the 2024 election, the most legitimate one, right? He said undocumented immigrants will not be counted. But if we think about the Constitution, we have a thing called Constitution. It mandates a census every 10 years. So the next one would be, logically speaking, in 2030, not 2025 or 2026. And the 14th Amendment requires counting the whole number of persons in each state. And it doesn't really matter whether you came here legally or illegally, because the point of census is to know how many people to serve or how many people to represent. Of course, this is all targeted to, again, restructure and, again, affect the next midterm elections, but also the federal elections as well. Now, what can we do? We can speak up. Right? Because if this happens to you in your state, you can speak up, you can talk to people in your state who are actually elected to represent your interests on your state level. So you can demand that this will not be happening. I mean, he can mandate, but if it goes against the Constitution, I think at this point, if the federal government is not defending the Constitution or our rights, it is our right to do so and our task to do so. Unfortunately, I think it will come down to us. And also, physically speaking or practically speaking, how are they going to know who entered here legally or illegally? As far as we know, ICE is now detaining anybody, right? It could be U.S. citizen, could be naturalized citizen. There are a bunch of people who were born here in the United States, and they're still being detained and deported without any warning, without any due process. So how will they know? And physically, how you can know, or you can ask people to show I-94. This is the form that you get once you enter United States legally, and it's a permit for entry, so to speak, right? Because your visa or your green card or your citizenship or whatever is a reason to entry, right? And then unless you are a citizen, you are getting this I-94, or unless you're a permanent resident. That's important. You are getting the I-94 that literally states how many months you can stay here. And it can go between 3 months to 6 months and whatnot. So will they ask for that? And how will they even know? Because all they go by is race at this point. Let's be frank. Now, as to the big deadline today, August 8th, supposed to be that big deadline for Putin to achieve ceasefire, to stop the war against Ukraine. And if you were holding your breath, breathe, because nothing happened and nothing will happen. And if you are waiting on that, well, that's on you. So Trump, who had said today for that big deadline day for Putin, said that he's very disappointed. And then he said that the deadline is now up to Putin. And in order to verify that I didn't lie about that, here's 11 seconds of Donald Trump speaking.
Deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're going to see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
It's going to be up to him, up to the murderous dictator who is stealing children and selling children now. I'm going to show you proof in a second once we talk about Ukraine. This deadline will be now up to the murderer to stop murdering people. Well, fantastic. Isn't that the leader of the free world? Is that the free world we even, grew up to love and admire? Well, speaking of free world, yesterday I was very much concerned as to we received a larger number of proclamations and executive orders to be signed at noon. Remember? Then nothing was happened at noon. Nothing did happen at noon. And then it says this is going to be all off press. And if you think about it, Trump loves signing executive orders in front of people. Most of times he doesn't even know what he's signing, but he loves the process of it. So this was highly unlikely for him to do so without the press being present, without all of this being documented. Then all we got are 4 executive orders, or 3 executive orders and 1 proclamation, which I covered yesterday. This was about the college admissions. This was about not excluding MAGA people from getting credit at the bank, or whatever, opening accounts or whatnot. They claim to be discriminated because of their political views. Then it was about restructuring 401k, nonprofit investment and support. So what even mentioned yesterday. Finally, today, we got the information, which is probably not even covered by mainstream media, you tell me, but it is a secret directive. And this secret directive allows military force against cartels. And there's a big trick to it. So sources say, well, we saw authorizing the Pentagon to use military force against designated Latin American cartels, and the move shifts a law enforcement mission into potential direct military operations at sea or abroad on foreign. I was kicked out of the system because something that I said, censored or whatever. No idea what I said, but I will repeat it because maybe the point here is not to tell you about the secret proclamation or directive that Trump signed. So I better repeat it again. Thank you for being here with me. So sources say Trump signed classified order authorizing the Pentagon to use military force against designated Latin American drug cartels. The move shifts a law enforcement mission into potential direct military operations at sea or abroad, targeting fentanyl and other drug cartels. And so, or drug flows. Essentially, what it means, Trump can direct to fly drones into Mexico or direct our military to step into Mexico and start fighting cartels. This goes against the sovereignty of Mexico as a state. So we haven't heard from Claudia Sheinbaum yet, nor Trump has directed any action upon it. But the point is that this was, first of all, signed in secrecy, and Trump was not doing it in front of cameras, unlike him, and also that this is a classified order. Now, sources have seen the order. We know that he did already sign it, so we'll see what will manifest out of it. But if you think about it, he did speak about that earlier. He did hint, oh, how about we send drones into Mexico? And he was actually telling that to Claudia Sheinbaum, the president of Mexico. And she said, no, that doesn't work this way. So let's see what will result out of it. Now, Trump also is targeting the CEO of Intel. And he called Intel CEO Lip Bhutan to resign over alleged conflicts of interest. And GOP senators have also raised concerns about tense investments in China. Intel says its leadership is committed to U.S. national and economic security. And Intel certainly did not attend MAGA dinners or did not follow Tim Cook's footsteps right into Oval Office to gift something in 24 carats to Trump or whatnot. So for that reason, they're being now targeted. Now, as to Air Force, the Air Force will deny retirement benefits to transgender service members with 15 to 18 years of service, offering either lump sum separation payments or later involuntary separation. The change follows Supreme Court ruling allowing Pentagon ban on transgender troops. And this is unfortunate. And this is just more than unfortunate. It's quite disgusting, if you ask me. Somebody served 18 years, dedicate their life, risk their life and safety, and for what? For the benefit of our safety, served the country, and now will not be getting retirement benefits. How low can you go? Now, this low. FBI is now is now targeting and searching for those Democrats who left the state of Texas to delay the vote or prohibit the vote on restructuring the district, in order to affect the 2026 midterms and to gain GOP 5 more seats. Meanwhile, FBI also reported, and I showed it yesterday, and probably somebody will be fired for this type of results, that actually violent crime data fell by 4.5% in 2024, including 14.9% drop in murders and near 9% in drop in robberies, the lowest in 20 years. Now, hate crimes also fell slightly. However, assaults on police rose from 83,000 to 85,730. And of course, this does not really align with the current administration's views on, we were promised this high crime rates and this illegals and immigrants are pouring across the borders, killing everybody, eating our cats and our dogs. Meanwhile, the crime rates were actually going down in 2024. Believe it. Now, other news, a CDC report came out today, and this is really concerning, but it's in our hands, though, to change it, which is good news. So CDC report found that 55% of calories consumed by Americans came from ultra-processed foods, the UPFs. Between 2021 and 2023, children's diets were 61.9% UPFs. Adults, 53%. So UPFs are high in salt, sugar, and unhealthy fats with little whole food content. And it's really up to us to decide what we put in our bodies. I'm not a health expert or fitness trainer or nutritionist, but it's really up to us. This is good news in the way that we have this sort of alert. We hear the bell and we can change our eating habits if that affects you. And of course, everything in moderation. Now, as to quick headlines, let's cruise through them. The Trump administration plans to incinerate millions of dollars worth of birth control pills, implants, and other contraceptives originally earmarked for developing countries after cutting funding to USAID programs, or USAID, however you refer to it, that would have distributed them abroad. So we're not going to help people. We do have the stuff to help people with. We're just going to destroy it just because. Now, Extremity Care, which is a biotech company, making high-priced products like paper-thin placenta bandages. They secured Medicare policy change expected to boost sales. And what it cost them was a $5 million donation to MAGA Inc., to Trump's campaign, and attendance at a dinner at Mar-a-Lago. And so the CEO, there was the whole article in New York Times today. The CEO was telling that, or explaining that I did donate, I did attend the dinner, I did play by the rules, so to speak, and now we are favored, which is a very interesting way to go about it. But I think this is the way to go about it. You see Apple doing the same thing. You see everybody except for Intel, and now Intel CEO is being targeted. Now, as to RFK Jr., I reported on this earlier. We heard it everywhere. He has canceled nearly $500 million in funding for mRNA vaccine. Think about bird flu. Think about COVID. That's what helped us to combat COVID, or not to experience it as severely as we could if you were vaccinated. So this drew, of course, sharp criticism from scientists and global health agencies, and also global community as well. Because with everything that is happening in the United States, we're becoming sort of, we're going back from being the most progressive country scientifically, going back to, some type of banana republic that doesn't believe in anything that has helped us already, right? Now, as to New York City, we have the election. We're electing our mayor in a couple of months. And of course, one of those runners is Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo, former governor who lost the primary to Zoran Mamdani, but he is running independently. He sort of created some type of a party himself, and so he nominated himself from that party. He spoke to Trump yesterday, and after that conversation, he was asked, how did the talk go? And he referred to his relationship with Trump as to a dysfunctional marriage. He gave those remarks to business leaders, which prompted this idea that Cuomo will be playing along with MAGA and with Trump. And think about it, his brother, who was on CNN, is now on Newsmax, is very much MAGA aligned, although sometimes he makes good points, but broken clock is also right twice a day. An interesting family. You decide who you're going to vote for, but really study facts. Don't go by big names. Now, the National Weather Service will hire hundreds of staff after earlier layoffs caused operational strain during this year's hurricane season. So again, they're going to rehire them for the hurricane season and then fire them and then rehire them again. So it's a sort of a temporary thing with very permanent issues. Now, as to California, and speaking of issues, the Canyon Fire north of Los Angeles has burned more than 1,500 acres in less than 24 hours, forcing thousands to evacuate as high winds and dry brush fuel rapid spread. So please be safe. Please listen to authorities if you are in the region, if you're planning to travel. Now, same issue is faced by France as well. So France is facing largest wildfire in 75 years. A massive blaze in southern France, bigger than Paris, has been contained after killing one person and injuring 13. Officials blame conditions worsened by climate change. And yet again, we deny climate change, and we really not even stop the programs we were investing in. If we meaning United States, but we're reversing our agenda and making it even more horrible than it already is. So, as to Federal Reserve, we know that Trump is very much against Jerome Powell. He wants to remove him. He can't. He's trying to find any type of issue to go about it. One of the chairs resigned, and so the seat is vacant. And so Trump nominated Stephen Myron, an economic advisor and critic of Powell, to fill a temporary seat on Federal Reserve Board. His confirmation is not expected before September, raising questions about central bank independence. And so, yes, Trump is saying this is temporary, but again, well, the Fed Reserve will be voting on lowering tax rates or not lowering them, and so perhaps this will be the one of those deciding voices. As to Paramount and Skydance merger, yes, it's proceeding. It has closed, as we have heard already last week. The 60-minute situation, right? The CBS settling with Trump certainly helped, and Trump advocated for this merger. And so as a result, Paramount's controlling shareholder, Shari Redstone, exited after selling to David Ellison's Skydance. Ellison plans to integrate advanced tech into streaming, news, and production, meeting with CBS News and 60 Minutes staff on his first day today. So, hey, Brad, thank you for being here. Alberta lost a town named Slave Lake to forest fire. They wrote a review in late blaming climate change in 2012. They changed procedures, staffing levels, and see, right? And it's thank you for sharing that, because people are we usually learn from our mistakes, right? If we are smart. Only very sort of people prompted to be visionaries learn from anticipating something horrible to happen. But if we don't even learn from mistakes, how good are we? Right? And especially such big countries as the United States, contributing so much to climate change, and now reversing our policies. We're, this drill baby drill situation, not helping anybody. Brett says 4 years later, they had the most expensive fire disaster in Canadian history. Yeah. Okay. So, now, global car makers, just a bit about tariffs, have lost nearly $12 billion in operating earnings since Trump's new tariffs took effect, according to the Wall Street Journal, with Japan, Germany, and South Korea among the hardest to hit. And yes, we pay those tariffs, but if the cars become too expensive to purchase, given that everything will be way more expensive in the United States, people will stop purchasing. And so, yes, ultimately it does hurt the countries, but the tariffs are paid by us, which, by the way, our Secretary of Treasury Besant actually agreed to today. Hoo-ha. So let's talk about some global news. And so Japan, late night yesterday, which was morning for them, announced that, this was announced by the Japanese trade envoy Ryusei Akazawa, that the U.S. all mistakenly collected levies under Trump's new tariff rules. So any product previously charged about 15% will have the rate reduced to 15%. Items with tariffs below 15% will now be charged exactly 15%, in line with the current U.S.-Japan agreement. The adjustment follows intense negotiations to protect Japanese exports, particularly in automotive and electronic sectors, from the steepest tariff hikes in decades. Now, all I can tell you is good luck. You know how many people are waiting for Trump to reimburse them? Even for the Trump Tower that exists for decades already? Well, now as to India, this whole dance today, honestly, this was India is dancing to the left, to the right, to the center, blaming press, to the left, to the right. So here's the choreography. Relations between Washington and New Delhi have hit their lowest point in decades after Trump doubled tariffs on Indian goods from 25% to 50% over India's continued purchases of Russian oil. Now, it is 25%, and it's promised to go up in 21 days, which is we're already like 3 days into this deadline. Now, Prime Minister Modi said that he's prepared to pay a very heavy price to maintain energy ties with Moscow, underscoring India's strategic partnership with Russia. This is one. Then Reuters reported that India has paused talks to purchase Stryker combat vehicles, Javelin missiles, and certain Boeing aircraft from the United States, and canceled a planned visit by the Defense Minister Singh to Washington. Okay? So, very pro-Moscow, very anti-US at this point, deservingly so. While the Indian Defense Ministry publicly now denied pausing US arms purchases, officials said New Delhi wants to clarify what's going on with tariffs and overall bilateral relations before moving forward. So first they go like, we just go with Russia, we go against the US. Then they deny that they're going to go against the US. Then Indian media notes that the government is open to gradually reducing Russian oil imports as part of a possible settlement, but only if Washington offers concessions on tariffs. So this is the entire dance with, we're so with Russia, right? And it's Russian morning news reports that India is so with Russia. They're really stopping everything with the United States. Stop the purchases, stop the visits, stop everything. But then we get into the news cycle where United States is waking up to our morning news and India says, we're open to negotiations. We did not say that we're not going to purchase anything. We're very much with you guys. We're with you. India is doing a little choreography dance. I guess seeing who's going to give them what, right? And sort of sitting between two chairs. Hey, Jared. Jared says, I think world leaders just pander to him, but don't take him seriously. He never keeps his word. Exactly. Hence the nickname Taco. So as to Russia, and this is really disgusting. I'm Ukrainian born, so this is disgusting. Could have been me if I was, 30 years younger. Russia has launched a website selling Ukrainian children. Really. Here you go. Russia launched online catalog for stolen Ukrainian children, raising child trafficking concerns. This is official Russian stuff. A new Russian website lets users browse Ukrainian children by photo with full faces visible. Described like products, obedient, calm. They can be filtered by gender, eye color, and hair. Most of the children in this catalog were born before the occupation of Luhansk and had Ukrainian citizenship. Some of their parents were killed by Russian occupation authorities. Others were simply issued Russian documents to legalize their abduction. Since 2022, Ukraine has identified 19,546 children forcibly taken by Russia from temporarily occupied Ukrainian regions. The real number is likely much higher. As of August 2025, just 1,480 have been brought home. And then watch this.
The deadline still standing for Vladimir Putin to agree to a ceasefire tomorrow, or is that fluid now?
It's going to be up to him. We're gonna see what he has to say. It's going to be up to him. Very disappointed, yeah.
I mean, we're not even animals at this point, right? When we say, well, we're not humans, without dignity, without decency, without empathy, without common sense, without analytical skills, without nothing, no awareness of history. But now at this point, we're not even animals. Animals don't do this. Disgusting. I agree, Jared. 2025. Where is the international community? Where's the European Union? Where is this coalition of the willing, which is not willing to do anything rather than meeting online and reporting about it? And other weird stuff. Israel, their National Security Committee, voted approving Gaza takeover. Now, how does this, with all respect to Israel and historical facts and historical suffering, and trust me, my family is also partially involved. Okay, so on the victim side. But how does this differ from Putin meeting with his Duma and committee and approving the partial takeover of Ukraine before they invaded? They voted on it. They had a meeting. We saw it online to justify the invasion, and then they went in and invaded and killed people and keep murdering people and abusing them in all sorts of disgusting ways. How is this different? Why are you voting on taking over somebody else? Because you don't agree with their existence or sovereignty? Makes no sense. So, in high-stakes move, Israel cabinet approved Prime Minister Netanyahu's plan for gradual military takeover of Gaza. What have they been doing for years? A decision opposed by the country's top military commander and many in the international community. And don't forget, the previous military commander was fired for not agreeing with this plan. Now, the next one is about to go. Now, Hamas disarmament and Gaza's full demilitarization are part of this plan. Returning all living and deceased hostages, Israeli security control over Gaza, followed by transfer to a civilian government that is neither Hamas nor Palestinian Authority. So yesterday, Netanyahu was saying we're going to give it to Arab countries in all Gazans. And remember, I told you, pay attention. Why is he calling these people Gazans and not Palestinians? Because he's very much against the two-state solution. Now, what I wholeheartedly believe that you can be pro-Israel and pro-Palestine, and most importantly, pro-decency and humanity. And yes, you can do so. I do not believe you have to be choosing sides. Unless you're Israeli or Palestinian, then yes, like I'm Ukrainian born, I have my personal attachment, right? But consciously speaking, you can be pro both states. And we know what happened on October 7th, and it was horrific, and it was provoked by Hamas, and it justified Israel to retaliate. But we cannot speak about, it's some cabinet voting on taking over other country and us being cool with that. Because what if they vote on taking over Texas? Israel is not going to do it, but it sets example for others, right? And with this unrestricted military aid that Israel receives from the United States, unlike Ukraine, that is defending its own sovereignty, this is a big difference here. It really makes it, elevates the level of danger here. So they also voted on establishing compounds to house up to 1 million displaced Palestinians evacuated from Gaza City and surrounding areas. And first phase deadline, and this is symbolic, will be October 7th, the 2-year anniversary of Hamas 2023 attack on southern Israel. Now, what were the reactions? Domestically, polls show that 70% of Israelis want the war to end and hostages returned. Obviously, all of us want that. Mass protests erupted, with hostage families calling the plan a death sentence for the living hostages. International reaction. The UK, China, Turkey, and Finland condemned the plan, warning of humanitarian disaster. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer said it will only bring more bloodshed. The UN warned that nearly 12,000 children in Gaza are in malnutrition. Hamas and Palestinian authorities said that Hamas threatened Israel would pay dearly, and Palestinian Authority President Abbas called the plan a full-fledged crime. Now, let's talk about Haiti. Businessman Laurent Saint-Cyr assumed Haiti's rotating presidency amid worsening gang violence and calls for greater international military support. I have no idea about Haiti and their internal politics, but we know when a businessman takes charge, everything becomes business, but we'll see. And so what is coming up today? Today will be a big hoopla at the Oval Office. And if you're not, a fan of Trump speaking a lot, rambling about all of it. There will be no real news. It's just going to be a lot of show. If you don't enjoy the show, I really recommend you to limit your exposure to the news today, because it will be all day. First, he's meeting with Azerbaijani leader. Again, so Oval Office, then there's a launch, and then they're signing something. Who knows what? Then maybe he's proclaiming Azerbaijan sovereign, which Azerbaijan is already sovereign. Then he's meeting with Armenian leader. Same story. And then they're signing something. It says on his schedule, celebration of signature signing, blah, blah. Maybe in Armenia will be sovereign. The king will proclaim. Armenia has been sovereign anyway. So it's just all a lot of show. It's a lot of noise. So unless this adds to your well-being, to your, it boosts your metabolism, do it. But if it brings you anxiety, if it makes you feel some type of way, keep your head on a swivel, really stay away, because today will be a lot of this Oval Office hoopla. In other news, World Robot Congress opened today in Beijing, and Japan marks the 80th anniversary of Nagasaki bombing. Well, 80th anniversary will be tomorrow. Japan will be marking 80th anniversary, and we don't learn. Anyway, so Jared says, I think I'd rather go to the beach. Yes. I will skedaddle to the beach. Yes, absolutely. Trump has no heart anyway. Well, he has heart for him. Yeah, it's different. Okay, so we're done. Thank you so much. This was short, straight and to the point. My apologies for, when I was talking about the secretive order or whatever Trump signed, we suddenly went offline while full internet was available. So I don't know what happened, but I will not spread any rumors. Let's blame the tech. Thank you guys so much for being here. I will see you next time on Monday for the live stream. Today will be the newsletter with everything that I just mentioned, written, so you can read and share, and the video will be available as well, minus our little, mishap. I'll cut it out. And Monday I will be live. And then tomorrow will be an extended newsletter with deep dive into things that happened this week. So few articles, analysis in history, this week in history. I really like to bring that perspective, like what happened during that week way back, right? Because usually it kind of resembles, especially when you go into the 30s and 40s, 1930s and 40s. So, and then Sunday, we have our Sunday edition. This time, I also will interview the founder of a fabulous jazz festival in New York. So if you're here, please go to Governor's Island. I posted a link to, more information about it. It's just great event. You can relax and whatnot, picnicking and stuff. And there will be more videos coming for Sunday edition, including interviews with politicians. And this first time I'm announcing this here. We will call it Sunday Walks, where I'm walking with people whose faces are familiar to you. But this is sort of no ties, no, type of like business wear or whatever. We're just going to talk about life, going to talk about their perspective. Yes, we're going to talk about politics, but it's not going to be anything like official statements or anything. So politicians off the record, if you will. But first episode will be with just me explaining the idea and also, walking through New York with you. And this all will be part of Sunday edition, because this will not be directly related to the news. I wanted to make it more about people themselves rather than the news cycle, because news cycle is very toxic these days, if you haven't noticed. Okay, so thank you for being here. I will see you on Monday live. Stay tuned. Newsletter is coming today and on Saturday, and Sunday edition on Sunday. And please keep your head on a swivel. Please do something that adds to your well-being. Really, news are toxic. There's so much noise and so little information that is useful for you. So please be, aware of the information you consume. Okay? All right. Thank you for being here. See you Monday and have a safe weekend.